A lot of girls that want to date them, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, stay away from them all. You know? My concentrating in school. Not the way.
Like that if that damn thing was shoved so far up your ass. Thanks.
You want a piece of paper over there?
Hi all, can you hear us?
Hi, Greg. You sounded great.
I can hear you as well.
All right.
Hey, Greg.
Let's see. Madam Chair, you have Greg. Greg is the other member on the call, so there are three of you here.
Okay, and I know Beth is gonna be logging in,
Okay.
but
So would you say we had them just for records? I'm doing.
Oh,
Greg?
myself.
yep.
Meredith, and Beth has not joined.
Right. We have a couple other members of the public. We have a and you are unmuted.
Okay, so I call the meeting to order at 7:05 PM on the 12th of November.
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. We just had Lydia Antrim jump on.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining this evening. For those of us that were present during a last session on the 12th of November, has everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes? I have. Greg, have you?
I have, yes.
And that I don't think has joined us, so I don't think we can vote to approve these minutes until she is able to join us. So I'm going to table this. We're going to move on to the acknowledgement of visitors.
Madam Chair, if you'd like me to go through the visitors, I'm happy to. We have Adam Stephen Schaefer, we have Nancy Caggiano, we have Lydia Antrim, and we have Kayla Harrington.
Hello, everyone. Moving on to correspondence and community input. Has anyone received any correspondence that they would like to share? Or would anyone like to make a comment that is in the audience? Anyone?
I don't know. I can't see this.
Hear a whisper. Nope.
I see no hands raised.
All right. There is no correspondence and community input. We're going to move on to examination and authorization for the payment of bills.
No bills this week, because we met last week, and Chris said she would have something for next.
Oh, okay, we're gonna fly through this agenda. Moving on to the superintendent's report.
Couple items, first of all, we had our first, transport of students. By in Lynn today. I borrowed and drove the Council on Aging minibus over there. Had two students with us, a first grader and a kindergartner. They were met by our former coordinator from here, Sarah Osborne. Mr. Andrews walked the kids to the van, made sure their seatbelts were on. And I delivered them in record time and came back. So that was successful. The rest of the week, Pat Scanlon, who drives for the Council on Aging, will be the transporter. Next week, I'll do Monday and Tuesday. She'll do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The next week is Thanksgiving week. We have 2 days of school, and I'll do that Monday and Tuesday. And that's as far as we have the ability to borrow the Council on Aging bus. So we got a little bit of an interim solution for those that wanted that. And we did reach out to Healy Bus, who said they would try to look at it and give us a possible price for a driver that already is involved in a run a little bit later. They have not called me back yet. I do have in the hopper another Council on Aging buses, which is Manchester, Essex, and it's being bid out to be sold. And they agreed today to have us be the only one that they deal with on it. Next Monday, I'm taking it to my mechanic in Gloucester, who's checked out our mini buses when I was in Rockport. It's reasonable mileage, it's in great shape. It would help with continuing this kind of transportation, but also for the ability to do on-island stuff and close runs. It does not require a specialized license. A regular driver can drive it. So that the typical scenario is with a freshman boys basketball team with 12 kids on it. The coach signs the van out, takes the keys, and I believe the way these are set up, you're not supposed to pay the person who runs that. It's not supposed to be a profit maker. So the coach who takes it's already paid to be a coach. So they just take the bus and take their kids if they want. And the same thing with me, obviously I couldn't be paid for that. I think with regard to a staff member or something like that, that helps us out. I think we err on the side of what's right with regard to that. But we could have this in a week or so. We would have stencils taken off of it so that the new school mascot, which maybe I stole Mr. Andrews' thunder, is the Blue
Please.
Lobster. And there's a detailer up in the Gloucester area that makes these sort of stickers for vehicles and stuff like that. We would put a nice big Blue Lobster on the front of it and Nahant Public Schools. And when we would then have this van for short trips and mini field trips where right now you really can't get the kids out. So this was a win from today.
Yeah, no, that's great.
The other win from today is one of my sort of ongoing dreams for here and was in my last job in Rockport was to be able to see if we could get a greenhouse and to go along with the garden.
Yes.
The garden club here, I spoke to representatives from a foundation. And I'm not allowed to say whose foundation it is. It's part of the deal. Who's agreed to do a match, and they will commit up to $40,000 towards the greenhouse. And if I can get a sum yet to be determined, hopefully support from the garden club, maybe the Community Preservation Act but I'm not sure a greenhouse meets the categories. My understanding it's recreation, historical, preservation, and that a greenhouse may not fit into that. You can resurface an old tennis court with it because it's recreational, but I'm not sure you could use that to buy a minibus. But the way we pieced it together in Rockport, we went to the voters at town meeting and said, we have raised X and somebody contributed Y. Would you be willing to put forth this amount of money to put us over the top? And at least in Rockport, the answer was, of course we will. And the Nahant Garden Club is very interested in this. The only thing they asked was, would there be a participation allowed by the community, like out here?
Yes.
And the answer to that is, of course, there would be. So right now, we're pricing out one that's about 20 by 38, which is a big greenhouse, all glass. Goes on a foundation with gravel on the inside of it, heated by propane. We would put it up not with hiring a contractor for X to put it up. We put it up in a barn raising with a oversight from a general contractor that knows this has to go here. Let's tighten these bolts. They read the plans and the kit comes and it basically you frame it up and then you group the glass panels, and the one we had in Rockport, we put together in 3 weekends. We
Nice.
had 20, 30 people show up and a cookout and real community event. My dream is to do the same thing here. Where the location will be depends a little bit on how we pull it off for size and whether we can get some matches, but to get that first sort of $40,000 commitment from a major foundation was a rewarding day. So,
Yes, most definitely.
that's that on those. What
Well,
else?
can I
did
ask a
have?
question?
Oh, I remember our third grade trip to Plymouth Plantation occurs next week. Again, we're spiriting a borrowed bus from the Rockport school system to drive the kids down because they could not get a bus from any provider around here, not because they don't want to, but it's costly, they don't have drivers, the buses are all committed. And this just happens to be a spare that sits at the DPW lot in Rockport. And I'm lucky enough to be a certified bus driver with a CDL license, so I'll have a nice day and just bring the kids down to Plymouth Plantation. My wife's gonna join me. I'm really looking forward to that. So that would be my report.
Question for you. How much you need to raise in total funding for the greenhouse?
I'm figuring $100,000. And the dream part of it is to include more than just a greenhouse. I'd like to see it be a sustainability sort of center. So that kids learn not only about growing their own food and all that, but the one we had in Rockport had a small solar array. And in the building was a TV screen that, like on a sunny day, you could watch the power be generated. And it would tell you the number of trees that had just been saved, and kids ate that up. And it also provided some of the electric power to the greenhouse, not the whole thing, but it was wired into it. And the kids could see what it would have cost versus what it is costing. So it's teaching them an important lesson about sustaining our environment, especially in a world where some people don't think our environment's in trouble. And I think kids need to understand that and to not only learn to be able to grow their own food. One of the things they could do with a greenhouse is have a little farmer's market on a weekend day. You know, with a supervisor, someone who had the greenhouse stipend, and the kids grow cherry tomatoes and lettuce, and they set up for a couple hours on a Saturday morning, and the profit and donations are then used to buy more seeds and the soil that's necessary and that sort of stuff. They also in Rockport brought the food over to the Gloucester Food Pantry. And that teaches kids an important lesson about respect for life. Folks that maybe don't have it as well off as you do. And, it was high school, middle school kids mostly there, but the younger elementary kids were all on the same property. And they were involved in the planting of the seeds and maybe not the business end of the marketing, but, you know, I think a third, fourth, and fifth grader can decide how much to sell tomatoes for and, you know, what the going rate is versus the store. And I think it would be exciting to have that, and Gardens Club's interest, I think, would help it have sustainability as a project. Because sometimes if a teacher's really interested and then the teacher leaves, like in Lockport now, the greenhouse isn't really being used like it was. When there was a teacher right behind it, it'd be like if you retired, and you really were into the greenhouse, the person who takes your place doesn't care quite so much about it, and then who's gonna plant, who's gonna harvest, who's gonna weed. But with the garden club there and a community connection,
That's
I think there's
wonderful.
not only good role modeling for the community, but seeing the schools, seeing the kids.
Yeah, no, that's fabulous. I love it.
This was a good day in the band business and the greenhouse seed funding business.
Well said, Mr. Lebo.
Moving on to the principal's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Happy to share this report with you tonight. We had a wonderful Veterans Day Assembly on Friday with many respected guests attending the event. Probably, I would say, over 25 Nahant residents that were just associated with the school by being Nahanters. We also had folks from out of town that were veterans join us. And so that was wonderful. The students read poetry, sang songs, shared history of Veterans Day, and then afterward had an opportunity to converse with the folks that were there. We also invited first responders as they serve in their community and a similar function in life-saving, and really, it was really about community service and almost a career day for students as well, just to hear what role they had in helping other people. So I want to thank the fifth and sixth grade parents, Kayla Harrington and Tessa Deering, our teachers, did a great job putting it together. Heidi Fiore did a lot of the decorating with other folks in the school, and Jose Garcia is an amazing custodian that we have at the school who made the building look fantastic. I was just proud to be part of it. I think the students really did a wonderful job. They really rose to the occasion, and I was able to visit their classrooms today and let them know as much. Because I really was proud to be part of that event. As Mr. Lebo had already referred to, we have a new school mascot. Ms. Harrington, our sixth grade teacher, and the students in the sixth grade ran a voting day on the same day that we voted for our president and other folks. And the result was, in fact, a blue lobster. So you'll be seeing in our contest, Heidi Fiore is going to be leading an after-school program for students to have a chance to draw a logo. And I'm sure you'll be seeing this on apparel, signs, maybe even a bus someday.
I love it.
Yeah, we're excited. Kayla's significant other also had caught a blue lobster recently.
Yes.
And had brought it to the school for the kids to see. So I think that kind of primed the pump.
The inspiration.
That was probably the inspiration. And
Yes.
you know, we also are part of the Swampscott Public Schools in a way, and they have blue as one of their
Big
themes.
blue.
Big blue. So I think that fits in nicely with that and the marine science piece. So students had a choice of 4 animals that they could have picked, and I voted for the blue lobster actually myself. So I'm glad that one of the teachers had a chance to vote as well. Yeah. And then I believe this is a separate item, but I included it on my report, if I may, as after-school update.
Yes, please.
Is that okay if I
Oh,
share
yeah,
that?
absolutely.
Great. As Mr. Lebo referred to, we have a temporary transportation solution in his own driving and the driving by the Council on Aging driver, which is really generous of Mary Minor and her department. So we're grateful for that. I believe we are going to the Y to ask for a discount for the families because currently it costs $200 a week for families they'll get a membership and attend the 5-day-a-week program. It also includes transportation, but they weren't able to get transportation for Nahant students. And so we've been working to arrange transportation on our own, on top of the $200 a week cost. And so we're looking into whether we can have the Y cut back the cost of the weekly participation rate based on the fact that we're doing the transportation on our side. Oh, we're not, the parents are, I should say, but
That's reasonable.
I think it's a fair ask.
I think it's a very fair ask.
So I believe Mr. Lebo has been in touch with or been working to contact.
She emailed me and said, call before 8 tonight or tomorrow morning. So
Okay,
we
great.
have that contact.
Great. It's a woman I've been working with when we had the Y here. And so hopefully that'll be a positive outcome. Right now, we have 4 students who are interested in attending at the Y for various numbers of days a week. 2 to 5 days a week is what we have for students attending.
It seems like such a low number that only 4 students.
Yep. It is a small number of students. I think some parents I know that some parents thought that their students could simply go home because they're older and wouldn't have to go out of town for care. So I'm seeing that as one of the results. And then I'm seeing just other folks make other arrangements with families. We only had 12 to 17 a day enrolled in the program when it was here. And then I think the big challenge was we were offering 1 day a week, 2 days a week, whatever you want. However many days you wanted, you could even leave it at $4.15 at a reduced cost. And the Y is charging $200 a week to stay until, and yet you don't have to stay till 6, but that's what they're covering you for. They're including swimming, they're including a membership. It's 5 days and includes transportation. So, it's double or triple the cost that some folks were paying. And where folks were looking for 1 or 2 days a week, or maybe 3 days a week. In 2 cases, we only had 2 students, or 3 students maybe, going 5 days, and staying till 5:30. So the number of full-time aftercare folks was really quite low. And I'm not sure what those folks were doing the other days, but by and large, it was, the need is, I think, 1 to 3 days, probably for half the population, half or 3/4. And I'm not sure if they're looking for a day for shopping, or if it's the day that the grandparent takes a break. I don't know what their arrangement is at home, but I'm thinking that they don't need the 5 days, and that's why we have such a low enrollment for the bus right now. That with the cost.
I'm wondering, once we have secured transportation, if we let all parents know that this is an option.
Yeah, I did actually invite parents, and I'll do that again more actively. Try to encourage folks to sign up for the Y. This was when we were still expecting to have maybe about 10 on the bus. And so I did put it out to the whole school community to see if anyone else is interested, because they do have swimming, they have karate, they have craft activities. There's more opportunities, I think, if you go there. But what I found is we didn't get a return on that. I mean, I'm happy, I'll do it again for sure, because that would reduce the transportation cost ultimately. If they could get 10 or 12 students on the bus, it wouldn't be that significant of a cost. But with 5 students on the bus, I think it will be probably a high cost.
We'll work on.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I would think if we could get dependability, that we would be able to move forward even with this minivan up to 14 kids. And if the law is now saying they're including transportation in that 200, and we're the transporters, I would think that would be stripped out of that 200, and that would be that lower rate, and that may interest more folks.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, right now, we're just piecing it together the best we could. And
Yeah, so we'll put it back out there and see what happens.
Well, it's appreciated. Thank you.
Sure. I also wanted to share some dates with you. On December 4th and 5th, we have parent-teacher conferences. The 5th is our evening night, 5:15 to 7:15. I met with teachers today at our staff meeting to go over how to use Parent Square to do the signups for those. December 20th, we have a winter chorus concert at 10:30 at the school. We have an 11:30 dismissal for students on that Friday. And this year we decided to separate the band concert from the choral concert so that we could have, more attention to the band concert. It was a lot to put together for one day, and we want to do it at Town Hall. And so that's going to be scheduled for January 9th at 6 p.m. And Nahant Town Hall will be the winter band. We have about 40 students that are in the band. And it's fantastic. It's really quite impressive. The work that Mr. Bullock's done, students have done. And as a reminder, that the school is able to provide instruments for students that aren't able to get their own. And so we have a few students who are taking advantage of that. Lessons are free for everybody, and those are during the school day. And then the band meets after school, and that's also free. So it's a really great program. And we're just lucky to have Mr. Bullock to lead them enthusiastically as he did on Veterans Day. With music and joy, and it's fun to hear on a Thursday
He's
afternoon.
amazing.
He is. He
He's
really
absolutely
is.
amazing. It speaks volumes that he has 40 people in. the
Oh,
band.
out of this, I mean, yeah, out of, what is it, out of probably 60 students or 55 students, he's got 40 students.
Yeah.
So he's got just about everybody signed up, playing drums, playing whatever they want to do. He also has a band director, so one of the students is the director. They had signed up for an instrument, but decided they want to be part of it, but didn't want to play. And so he found a role for them. And, yeah, it's great. Certainly, and that concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Personnel updates.
I don't believe we have any personnel updates since our last
We're
meeting.
just gonna have that as a placeholder every time.
Any old business that we want to discuss?
There's any.
All right. Moving on to new business. We have budget development timetables.
Yep, I've sent out and handed out the proposed budget development timeline. I built it off the one you used last year, so if you find any conflicts, let me know. I assume that most of the dates in the upper half of this refer to your actual school committee meetings. So for instance, tonight is just a review of the budget timetable. November 10th, which is a school committee meeting, we would look at the first draft of the budget, discuss any review and adjustments, deliberate, look at potential revenues. And I don't think at that point you really discuss a proposal to the finance committee, but it was on your sheet from last year. On January 14th, we might have some more feedback from the town who's then seen the budget. You deliberate as to where you're at. You may know more about negotiations and salaries and that kind of thing. On the 16th, theoretically, my budget, the superintendent budget, goes to the town administrator for the finance committee. And for some reason, I think that's no, I guess that's right. So the superintendent budget goes to town administrator and the finance committee before it's your budget, because the budget begins as mine. And then once you approve it, it becomes the school committee's budget. That occurs at a later date on this. On the January 28th, we would come back with any other necessities for budget review or adjustments. Public hearing, I assume, is held here at your school committee meeting.
It is.
So that's the 11th, which is one of your nights, posted as a public hearing. The 25th, more deliberations if necessary, and at that point, you then get handed off that superintendent's budget and vote it as your own and send it on to the finance committee. And then a date to be announced is a meeting that occurs with the finance committee to sort of solidify things. And then there are some placeholder dates. And town meeting is the 17th of May. And the 29th is one of your regular board meetings would be prepared for town meeting. So it's just mirrored after the one you've been using year by year. So that would be that, or
Okay, we've already discussed the after-school program update, so we can go on to the second reading and adoption of the many updated Title IX.
So there's a big packet that the board members have, and these are changes to the Title IX, harassment type policies, student to student, teacher to student, student to teacher, any of those relationships with regard to that. And MASC, Mass Association of School Committees, reviews these for everybody, the law changes and then updates those. And then says, you folks need to update this old policy or adopt a new one. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 policy actions. The first 3 are updates to your existing policy. So the very first policy you see is AC, and that's a update to the mask version 2024. The next one is ACAB. That's an update of an existing policy to the 24 version from last July. And you have an update ACR, and that's to the July 24th. The next 4 are brand new policies. And you notice when reading them, some of those old ones now refer to one of your new policies. So these don't exist yet. So you will be, we did a first reading, right? But we didn't do our second reading, and it wasn't a complete reading, but this on the agenda item is your adoption night, second
Correct.
reading and adoption. So you would be adopting ACA, ACAR, ACGA, and ACGB. And in your packet, it starts with what the updates are. So for the first part of your packet, update to AC. And since you don't have a universal color copier, you can't highlight and put things in red, but I have bolded it. So in AC, this is an existing policy. And the first update you get is in that second big paragraph. And it adds the word sex stereotypes and sex characteristics to add to the already race, color, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, religion, disability, age, genetic information, active military veteran status, and that whole list. So by law, you've got to add those 2 new categories. And otherwise in that, the only other one is in number 5. They cross out the word the, because I guess it doesn't make any grammatical sense. Might have on the human relations. Should say might have on human relations. So that's the complete update. Well, that's just a page 2 there. It's reference to the law.
Yep.
See where it says acts of 2022 and it refers to that shaded area. And then you'll be changing your present policy, which is old 2022, to a updated July 24th version. So I think it makes sense not to move these as a slate. I think it makes sense to do motions on each one and move those, and then you could do them as a slate. But that's the changes to your existing policy AC. So it's the chair's preference as to continue and then do one
Yes,
big vote.
I say that we continue along and then we'll take one vote, but before
So
we
the
do
next
that,
one at the top of it is an update to ACAB, which is your, used to say your sexual harassment policy. Now it says your sexual and sex-based harassment and retaliation policy, the top of it. And then you'll see inserted in there are either cross-outs, highlighted, or bold new language in your existing policy, including a whole new section about a definition of sexual harassment and Title IX. And then there's several pages to this one. New section, reference Title VII. New section, reference Mass General Law 151B. new section, reference MGL 151C. Then it's your existing policy. Then there's a whole section where the old definition of sexual harassment is struck, crossed out. Then the next page, it does the same thing, strikes out a whole section on notice of sexual harassment. And notice right there at the top of that page, it says, portion of this in second paragraph, beginning of this file, is in a new file, AC-R. So that's one of the ones you're gonna block later. They're shifting it from an existing policy to a brand new one. There's a lot of cleanup in RL7 here. See the same thing on the top of page 5. It says, note, the below is in the new file, ACAR, to adopt later. So it's not that they're getting rid of it, they're transferring it to a different policy. And then it flows just like that. And then it goes to page 6, references the law. And that policies would then be done. The only thing we have to do is insert name of district where it is necessary and take out the little reference to this policy and that policy that are sort of leading you through the reading of the. So that's the second one.
Ms. Anderson's on.
The third one is it's cut off at the top, but it's ACR. So that's a present policy, updates. See the same kind of thing. Language struck and transferred at the bottom to ACAB. And then there's a whole section on retaliation on page 2. That was not in your old existing policy. But there's a specific statement now about retaliation, threats, coercion, or discrimination against any person by the district, a student or employee, or other person authorized by the district. And then it references the law. Then we slide into brand new ones. First one, brand new ACA. That is now called non-discrimination on the basis of sex. Now, I think this one here, notice the things are crossed out of it. I think you should have had this one, but you didn't. For us, it's brand new. All right, you do not have this one in your manual. But for all intents and purposes, this is a brand new policy to you. And it's not that long. The next brand new one. You'll notice the whole thing is bold. This comes right off their website. I think on their website, it appears in red print. So again, this is a brand new one called non-discrimination on the basis of sex under Title IX, including sex-based harassment. New policy ACAR. Again, you could spend a lot of time on these debating how it's said, but that's not a wise thing to change the legal.
This has been vetted through legal and the recommendation. No.
So that one continues, that's a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-page policy. Then you have a new policy called ACGA, Civil Rights Grievance Procedure. And it's taken out the word sexual harassment, it's now called discrimination. And those are the changes in that one, but it's a new policy to you. Once they're adopted, they get folded into a new electronic policy manual that would be posted on your website and distributed so everybody would know they exist. You then have a new ACGB, Sexual Discrimination Grievance Procedure. Hope I didn't put that in play. That's a different one. Again, you follow the shadings or things that are struck. The bold print is new language. That goes. Hopefully it's not a duplicate of our last one. I think that's a different one. That's 14 pages, 15, 16, 17, 18-page policy. Yep, that's your last, that's a 19-page policy for your handbook. So that's a brand new one. And again, where it looks like things were struck, maybe that other people had that, but you never had it. These are brand new to you. So that gives you 3 updates, 4 new ones.
And Rob, so that you know, when we updated over 150 plus policies last year, those aren't reflected in the policy manual yet. So I
They're
know
still in process of being put into the
you,
electronic format, but that job has not been completed. So if you went to the policy manual on the website and downloaded it, you'll find, as an example, in this topic, the policy of record is from 2020. You adopted a new Title IX type policy in September of 2023 that has not, it's been approved. It is your official policy, but if you were a member of the public, you don't have any access to it. You're seeing a policy that is now out of date, 2020.
So my question is, and I know it's a process because of so many changes to the policies that we made, when do you think that we can get the new
I've been
manual?
assured, I said to the folks that are doing it, can we get this done no later than Thanksgiving break? The answer was, we will try. Can I guarantee that? I mean, I think a lot of them have been done, but it's not, you can't post partial bits of the electronic handbook. These will add a new layer to it. Because someone's gonna have to go through and pull out all those struck parts. It can't appear in your manual, it has to be clean copy. So someone's gonna have to do that. You know, someone has a full-time job during the day and it's paid a stipend to finish the project. So
Well, if there's anything that, we can do to help.
I've been pretty clear about the urgency of certain policies that apply to, matters that, either have or could occur, that we need to make sure that we're updated.
Absolutely. So why don't I have a motion to update and adopt said new policies? And if memory serves me correctly, and Rob, please remind me, do we have to list each individual one separately in the second reading? I believe we do,
I think you're making these official,
yes.
so you could do it in one motion, but I think the motion should say, for someone who wishes to do that, that I move that the Nahant School Committee update policy AC to the Mask 2004 version as presented. Update ACAB, etc. And then when it gets to and adopt ACA, but to actually list that out so it's in the minutes. That it refers that. And I think when I do the minutes, I will actually put the name next to AC and take the liberty to make sure it's in the minutes.
That would be great. So can someone make a motion?
Motion to update Title IX policies AC, ACAB, and ACR to the Massachusetts 2024 versions as presented. And motion to adopt the new Title IX policies ACA, ACA-R, ACGA, and ACGB pursuant to the Mass 2024 versions as presented at the November 12th, 2024 school committee meeting.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Excellent.
Thank you. That's hard work right there.
I know, I remember going through all those policies, Beth and I do. It was like, oh my gosh. Okay, here we go again. So question, so Kevin,
Yes.
can we please update the student handbook to reflect new policies?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. I'll get right on it.
And we are looking for someone to provide us guidance in terms of training to ensure that everybody is up to speed on the new Title IX policy. And that would include. Any other committee business that we wish to discuss this
Well, I do want to publicly make everyone informed that we're planning for a special school committee meeting next Tuesday night, the 19th of November. I believe the agenda was just posted, and that's for an executive session to discuss bargaining, as well as a possible ratification of a new 3-year agreement with Unit A of the Nahant Teachers Association. So that's a placeholder right now, but we've scheduled that meeting. It's part of a process that occurs during negotiations.
Mhm.
So I just want to make sure we have a quorum for that. It won't be a terribly long meeting. We're gonna talk in executive session tonight about the labor relations with regard to what the negotiation process has gone through. And then the Teachers Association does their own separate ratification type process. And it's hopeful that we're able to have a new agreement, possibly as soon as the end of next week. And in the culture and spirit of a lot of other North Shore communities right now, I find us fortunate to have good working relationships with our union.
Oh, yeah.
That's a very important thing to me.
Very true.
Thank you.
Ms. Karas, did you already talk about the after-school challenges?
Yes,
Okay, sorry to
Yeah.
have missed that.
and I can fill you in.
That's fine. We can catch up offline.
So moving on to future agenda items.
Yeah, we have
Budget
some sort of
discussion.
placeholders, we have our budget discussion. We're still waiting for the official October 1st enrollment. You've seen the Johnson School grade level one, but you haven't seen the private schools, charter school one. Chris is still in the process of putting that together, so I'll have to bring that back to you. We still need to present with you what the curriculum review cycle will look like and how the committee will be formed for that. And we haven't approved any executive committee minutes for a while. So we'll have to do a session to review those and approve the sort of set of executive session minutes once we get them all together.
Excellent.
And
Okay.
otherwise than that,
Any announcements that anyone wishes to make? Okay. Can I have a motion to adjourn into executive session?
Motion to adjourn this regular school committee meeting on November 12th, not to be re-entered, and go into executive session to discuss the status of labor relations with the Nahant Teachers Association and other business as needed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Well, thank you, everyone that has joined us this evening. We officially adjourned at 7:51 PM.
Ms. Thibault, I'm so sorry I'm not there in person to welcome you.
Thank you.
Same, sorry.
I will be there next week.
Okay, great, thank you.
Patty, I
And
guess,
I'm-
next meeting, we're just gonna have to go back and approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting.
yeah. And I'm gonna have to step out of this now. I'm sorry. We're gonna lose our ability to be here. Um,
Oh, okay, so you're not gonna join us for executive session?
I could call in on the Zoom
Oh, that's
for a little
fine.
bit. Okay, so I'll try to do that, but let me do that from between here and the car.
Sure.
All right. Thanks, Patty.
Wait,
I think you guys should start.
Participants are off now.
They're off.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
It is recording still, just so that,
Ah,
Yeah,
that's
when
not good.
whoever did their magic last time, if they could
That would
take
be-
that off, great.
Sure, I can stop the recording here.
That mouse is the strangest.
I'm holding it upside down for one thing. Yeah, it's,
I was fighting with it last.
yeah.
time.